Gospel according to St. John chapter 2 from verse 1 to 11. It is about the first miracle of Jesus turning water into wine. It was in this particular miracle that he revealed his glory and his divinity, which made his disciples to come to believe in him. We also know that Mary, the mother of Jesus, was there. In fact, she was the initiator of this miracle, and the circumstance was a wedding celebration. In this wedding celebration at Cana, the wine they bought, the celebrants bought, failed them. Mary, being a mother, noticing the ugly effects of this particular circumstance to the hosts of this particular celebration, went to Jesus and interceded. She went to Jesus and said to Jesus, "They have no wine." Jesus looked at her and became like, "How does it concern me? Besides, this is not my hour to work." But Mary, knowing the son she gave birth to, looked around and saw the servants standing by. She says to them, "Do whatever he tells you." She was actually calling an attitude of obedience from those servants to Jesus. She left the scene. There were 6 stone jars of water lying there. And Jesus looked at them. He now told those servants to fill those 6 stone jars of water with water. Those 6 stone jars of water could contain about 20 to 30 gallons of water. Those servants filled those 6 stone jars of water to the brim. Jesus said to them, "Now draw out some and go and give to the steward of the feast." Those servants drew out some and went and gave it to the steward of the feast. When they brought that particular substance to the steward of the feast, the steward said to the bridegroom, "It is not usual to keep the best wine after people must have gone drunk. The best wine is usually brought out first so that people would use it to enjoy before you bring out the bad one." In other words, the wine, the substance that was brought to him, was already a wine. This is now where my focus is in this reflection. When did this miracle happen? At what point did the water turn into wine? At what point? We know that in the miracle of multiplication, that Jesus brought those 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, raised them up and gave thanks. After that thanksgiving, he gave it to his disciples to share. And it was at the moment of sharing that the bread and the fish multiplied. But this particular miracle of water into wine is very different. They poured the water as was commanded. They poured it into the jars. Jesus didn't do any incantation. He didn't give any thanks. He didn't say any word. He didn't do anything. He just gave a command. Fill these jars with water. Those servants did as commanded. Of course, they were already instructed by the mother of Jesus to do whatever he would tell them. So they obeyed immediately. Jesus didn't do anything. He didn't stretch out his hand. He didn't put his hand into those jars. He didn't say any word. The only thing he said to the servants was, "Now draw out some and go and give to the steward of the feast." 2 things happened. They filled the jars with water to the brim, and immediately after that, they drew out some of the substance in those jars. So I think and I believe that this miracle happened at the point of those servants obeying. It was just Jesus did that miracle based on the obedience of those servants. It was at his command and at the obedience of those servants that this miracle came about. It was at the point of those servants pouring those water into those jars and drawing the substance from those jars that this miracle came about. This is what I call the miracle of obedience. You know, obedience can fetch us a lot of good things in this life. Obedience to commandments, obedience to instructions, obedience to the word of God. As a matter of fact, it was disobedience that caused the great fall of the first man, Adam, and his wife, Eve. It was disobedience that brought about the fall of the devil, Lucifer. But obedience can uplift a man. Obedience can cause the miracle of God to come about. Obedience can make a home to stand together. Obedience can cause love, peace, prosperity to flourish. Many people have been wondering how come the church is the only ancient institution that is still standing. The answer is simple. The church is built on obedience. Obedience is the attitude that has held the church together for more than 2,000 years. Those words of Mary to do whatever he tells you continues to guide the church till today. The church lives in obedience to her groom Christ. The church lives in obedience to her founder Jesus Christ. And outside obedience, the church crumbles. Outside obedience, the church becomes like Lucifer. So it is the miracle of obedience that can help us in this life. Even in our families, if we obey the commandments and the word of God, we will see the kind of miracle that would come out from our obedience. Let us do whatever He tells us, and we shall have peace and love and progress flourishing in our lives. Peace be with you.